This is number 8 from Carcassi's Opus 11, which is 10 Petites pieces. And if you already have the sheet music, just follow the lesson for free and pick up some tips. But if you're interested, I do have an edition. You can follow the link in the description to find out more. So Andantino grazioso, so kind of like, a graceful Andantino, so a graceful pace, not too rushed, but not too slow either. In terms of the difficulty of this piece, well, all of Opus 11 is intermediate, and it ranges probably from, the grade 3 or 4 level all the way to the grades 6 or 7. This piece is not outrageously difficult in any way, but if you're going to take on this piece, do expect it to take just a little bit longer. There's a little bit of navigating that you have to do in this piece, lots of kind of jumping to little shapes on a continuous basis. So there's lots of opportunity for error, but at the same time, if you just know the piece really well, it's not that difficult. And this is very typical of his Opus 11. He presents a theme and then he gives you a number of rhythmic variations on that theme to kind of just spice up the piece, but it does continue to come back. Another aspect of this one, though, is that it's really nice that he adds this little minor section in the middle. So when you're thinking about those variations, you have the first bar, and then at bar 32, you have the same melodic material, but you have some extra notes thrown in. So he's adding a little bit more to it. And then, of course, again at 63, you have it again, but in triplets this time. So he continues to ramp up the rhythmic intensity, but also give you that theme again and again, but also some nice intervening contrasts. So at bar 48, that minor section is a really nice thing to throw in the piece. And then again, like I've been saying, I really like this Opus 11 collection because there's some good length to the pieces despite their intermediate level, and they're just nice examples of the classical style and fit fairly well on the instrument. So that's all I really have to say about the piece itself. Just watch out, for all those presentations of the theme. But let's just do a little bit of walking through. Now, you could play the opening with I Am. That'd be actually really nice sounding. But I do use my thumb on the lower voice just because I can just make the decision that for most of the piece, the lower voice is going to be with the thumb. It just kind of keeps those voices separated in terms of technique. And when it switches down to lower strings, you can just continue using the thumb. But if you want, you can use I Am. And when it just goes to bass strings, just start using the thumb. But you just mix it up more. But as long as you're controlling the sound, it doesn't really matter what fingering you use. And in terms of the upper voice, just alternate I Am. Sorry. So there's lots of those jumps. You just have to know it really well. Again, if you don't like that fourth finger, just make sure your hand position is aligned and this knuckle is in so that it's easy to reach. If your knuckle's out here, like you can see I can't even reach the note. If my knuckle's just right here, it's no problem. And then when you go into this next section, don't do a writ too soon because he trails on for a little bit. Maybe a little bit there, and then here we have the theme once again. So I'm using my A finger on all those upper E's, and then just, P and I and P and M for the inner voices, but thumb for the lower voice the whole time. And when you have that bar 37, I go P-I, A-M-I. As long as you're alternating fingers, it'll work out fine, but for bar 37, P-I, A-M-A, P-I-A works particularly well. You can use I finger there too, there, if you wish. At bar 37, I use P-I followed by A-M-I and then M-A, and then you get to start again. Kind of a nice close there. So you've had two presentations of the theme, one with some rhythmic interest, but then he throws in some contrast, so into minor key. When you're doing this, just follow my fingerings carefully. I would go 3-2 here. That way 1 is available. Switch to 4th finger on the B. So even though you had 3, switch to 4. That way the 3rd finger is available for that bass note. So from bar 48, one more time. Switch. Switch. And then I use I and A throughout this section. And then you have the theme once again, but in triplets. And most of the time I'm using P-I-A, just because of the way he spaces out the arpeggio sometimes, but feel free to use P-I-M, that's just fine. Actually, P-I-M is really great too. For some reason, I sometimes like using the A just because it's on the upper string there, but it doesn't really matter as long as you're doing an arpeggio pattern, right? Those section P-I-A-M-I-M-A-M-I, any kind of like alternation of the fingers. As long as you're alternating, I think you're fine. But you have an arpeggio, repeated notes, make sure you alternate on the repeat there, and then you're back to the thumb. And then the final section, you kind of get some repeated material from the theme, but he throws in some extra stuff just to break it up. I go 4-3 here. That way 3-2, the 3rd finger can track down the 2nd string. There, I go 4-2-1-2, just to kind of keep those fingers separate and use free available fingers. And then you can just slide into that. You slide up the 3rd finger. There's a sweet little ending to the piece. This is one of the better pieces, I think, in the collection, but in terms of how it fits on the guitar, you just have to know it really well, because when you first go to read it, there's a lot of accidentals in the piece and lots of shifting around, so you have to just know it so that you can iron out some of those just little errors. And then as long as you're aligned and like we talked about with your hand position, any of the oddity fingerings shouldn't be too difficult, and there's not much in terms of barré or anything like that. There's just that one section at bar, let's see, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, that you have a little barré there. And it's a little bit of a stretch, especially, you know, just doing the two strings here. When you reach out to the third finger, just practice it really slowly. Again, it's nice and secure because you are locked in. Just make sure that you're checking your guitar position. If you're too laid back like this, you'll mute strings accidentally. You have to be up on your fingertips. So do it by a combination of your hand position, but also your guitar position as well. So you can just get those few extra millimeters to make that bar, that measure easy. Besides that, I hope you enjoy that one, and then we're on to the next number 9, which is quite a fun one.